Hi friends, hi again. This is Minka. I'm going to do a little bit longer video today because I have a couple of paintings I want to talk about if you are interested. And today's topic is pain and the healing properties of art. So, like many of you, I am a veteran, Navy veteran, and ALS is one of my service-connected disabilities. So, being a veteran is fairly impossible to describe to those who have never been in the military. I wouldn't recommend it, but I'll tell you my story, and as it relates to this painting in particular. So sadly, my country has been fighting continuous wars for my entire 53 years on this planet. I was born during the Vietnam War, U.S. Vietnam War. When my older sister was born, my father was sent off to war as a medic, combat medic, at the age of 19. And then my mother was left to raise my sister until he returned. Luckily he did, otherwise I would not be here today. He did return with a couple of Purple Hearts and a couple of Bronze Stars, and disabilities for life. That is part of the price that we pay for waging war. And as you probably know, that price is paid disproportionately by people of low income. And that is true to this very day. So when my father returned, they made me. And then 5 years later, I got to have a baby sister as well. So my siblings and I all grew up during the Cold War, which, for those not totally familiar with the term, that was what happened in between World War II and, let's say, 1989. And the Cold War was basically the US and the Soviet Union, now called Russia. These two nations held the world at the brink of nuclear war for all those decades. And as children, I can remember even in first grade having to perform drills for the possibility of a nuclear strike. And we had to know at all times where the nearest bomb shelter was, if by chance a bomb shelter might actually save your life, but most likely it would not. So, heavy topic. I'm gonna turn this back around towards art in a little bit, but I need to say a little bit more to talk about the pain part. older sister followed our father's footsteps, and she joined the Army, was discharged honorably, but with disabilities that she is also carrying for life. Later in my teen years, I happened to become friends with an elderly black man who was a veteran of World War II. Among other things, the two of us took a road trip to Chicago in his stretched black Cadillac. I think that's the only time I've ever driven a Cadillac, and that was kind of fun. We had a good time. And Bill's stories about World War II were that he knew the sacrifices people were making to be over there. But the U.S. military was segregated. And so the Navy at the time did not want to put black sailors into combat roles in which they might have authority over other sailors. So since he wanted to be part of the fight and not be, doing nothing in his mind, he managed to get on a frigate as a cook. To this day, if you go on any Navy ship, you're going to find a lot of people of color working in the kitchens. And the reason for that is there's a law allowing foreign nationals to join the military, and if they serve out their duty, they are eligible for U.S. citizenship. Hi, we're back for part 2 of this video about the emergent art from pain. We were talking about my old friend Bill Edmondson, that is no longer with us. He served on a frigate in World War II, and I remember him telling me about a very traumatic experience for him, in which he had gone ashore onto an island in the Pacific, and then witnessed all the ships in the harbor being attacked by Japanese aircraft, and all the ships going up in flames, and some of them sinking full of sailors. And on top of being a black man in America and dealing with the trauma of that, he turned all of that around and created some very soulful poetry. And he had this rich baritone voice, and he would recite his poems from memory, and they're so touching, So I'm sad that he's gone, but his words live on in my heart. And So I guess that brings us to my experiences and my art. I was in college when the Gulf War began, and I had no intent to join that war. I remember crying when the war began because I knew what that does to people, and I could only think about all the people that were going to die. But as it happened, due to my own personal traumas and stuff, I kind of needed to escape from where I grew up, from all the, I was a bit lost as a young person just graduating from college in a recession and a war. And I ended up joining the Navy. And that got me out of there, got me a chance to grow beyond the point that I was stuck in. So I ended up being in the Navy for 6 years, 4 of those on an aircraft carrier, and 2 deployments in the Gulf War. I still was a pacifist, vegetarian, and of course, still non-binary, but you couldn't be out about that kind of thing in the military at the time. And even being gay at the time was enough for you to be discharged. So I served out my enlistment and got an honorable discharge. I had advanced in rank as high as I could have in that time frame, and been awarded medals for my service and all that. But by the time I got out, all the things I had been running from by joining the military, all that stuff was still there. And now I had 6 years more of some trauma and confusion on my part that I had to deal with. And I, quite frankly, had a emotional collapse. I had PTSD and horrible depression and all of that. Luckily, I was able to get treatment for that. And it was after all of that, when the dust settled and it was just me again, and trying to find the things in life that inspired me and made me want to engage with the world and to find the beauty and the passion to go forward. And right about that time, I painted this painting. So this would have been 23 years ago now. Right after I was discharged, and not long before the attacks of 9/11, and then us going from Gulf War to war on terrorism. So this painting, it really didn't have anything to do with any of that. It was me finding myself again in art. That had been my early passion in life, and all those influences that I've already talked about in this video, from my family to my friends, and more, all of those folks inspired me as an artist and influenced me. So this is maybe on the surface resembles action painting by Jackson Pollock, but it's actually quite different. His were painted rapidly and just capturing the energy of that sort of painting and the expression that came from it. This actually is very textured when we'll show you the close-up of it, and that's because I painted it very thick. Probably I dumped a full bottle of linseed oil onto it, and then added all the color, and all of that took about 2 weeks to dry. And even to this day, quarter century later, the paint will sag and even drip if it's in hot temperatures. So it's still kind of alive and moving. Yeah, that's all I'll say about this. We'll give you a close-up, and then I have one more painting to show you. This is a painting I just acquired from an artist in Ukraine. He painted it in last year in 2022 during the height of the war from the invasion by Russia. And it's just a very powerful piece to me, very complex. I'll probably do a separate video about this alone, but I think it shows that to this day we can speak our thoughts and our hearts through art, no matter what the situation and how painful it might be. Thank you for watching.